Fantastic. So we will make a start. So huge welcome to everyone who's come along to our latest webinar, and also big welcome to Marcus Griffiths from Computer Recyclers UK, who's going to be talking to us today around circular economy issues. For those of you who've maybe never been along to one of these in the past, I am Elizabeth Anderson. I'm the Interim Chief Executive here at the Digital Poverty Alliance. Our work is all about ensuring that no family is left offline. So we aim to see an end to digital poverty in the UK by the end of the decade. We do this through advocacy and research, and also through direct support for families and others who are in need. Delighted to have Marcus. Could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Marcus Griffiths from Computer Recyclers UK. We're based in South Wales. We were first established in 2002, so it goes a while back, by owner, managing director Tyrone Griffiths, and that was to recycle all electrical equipment. In 2010, we changed to focus to recycle and reuse of all IT, becoming Computer Recyclers UK, who are now an ADISA certified IT asset disposition service provider with a strong commitment to reuse. We're a pretty experienced team, operate from a 10,000 square foot facility to collect and process redundant IT. That's not just from Wales, but from the rest of the UK. And then where customers' level of risk is too much for the reuse, we have a mobile shredder which goes around the UK destroying data down to 6mm shred size, which is the approved UK Security Service standard.
Fantastic. Great to see that we've already started out with people saying hello in the chat. Good to see somebody else in Kent. I'm sitting at home in Kent at the moment, so hello to everyone across the UK. If you haven't done it yet, please do tell us a little bit about who you are, geographically where you are, and what organisation you're representing. We'd love to see that chat kicking off. Also, if you've got any questions for Marcus as we go through our chat today, you'll see that at the bottom of the main screen, there's a Q&A button. Do pop your question in there, and then if we have some time at the end of the session, we will go through those questions. We love getting questions from people who are listening in. So Marcus, to kick us off, could you actually explain a bit about the concept of the circular economy, what that means, and then how that applies particularly in the field of technology, recycling and reuse?
Yeah, sure. So circular economy is an approach to production and consumption that seeks to minimize waste while keeping products and materials in use for as long as possible. So refurbished devices are a good example of how to support the circular economy, because the devices acquired by us are, when the original users identify them as redundant, but as the device is data bearing, they need to ensure they're disposed of in a GDPR compliant manner. So in the likes of us, computer recyclers, once you've securely collected, all devices go through the relevant data destruction process, which is then followed by the devices testing, upgrading, repairing, cleaning, which eventually leads into the device having a new home. So it's extended the device lifespan for many more years and saves the device being considered as waste. So, even for the devices that maybe don't make it all the way through the testing stage, they are stripped for as many usable parts, which help to repair and refurbish other devices. So again, preventing as much as possible from being considered as waste and supporting the circular economy. So, I've heard there's conversations, and some people listening in might actually know more, but there's talk about it becoming law, or is already law, that manufacturers of new equipment must do so in a more sustainable way that allows for more reuse. So, with the level of technology only ever increasing, it'd be a great thing and play a big part in even further reducing the amount of redundant technology becoming waste when when the components can be more easily reused. And then a good example I can give of that from what we see is smartphones. So we'll have clients whose risks to data safe is too high for the leave site. So we turn up with our mobile shredder to put it through its destruction process down to 6mm shred size. But with smartphones, then they can't be sensibly dismantled. So you have to physically dismantle them to get the lithium battery out for safety reasons, and then the whole phone has to be put through the shredder down to 6mm. So in terms of circular economy, that's not really very helpful, because you end up with a shredded phone and a lithium battery that needs to be safely disposed of. Then when you compare that to, hard drives that come out of PCs, laptops, servers, for example, they can be removed from the device. The data bearing component can be shredded, but the PC, laptop, or server itself can, go through this. It can be tested for reuse, and is not then classed as waste. So yeah, that's my examples.
Thank you, and I think that's really interesting, because clearly it's not just supporting digital poverty and potentially sort of allowing people to get value out of those devices later. It's also a sort of really environmentally conscious way of ensuring that we don't have electronic waste disappearing that doesn't need to. Could you also maybe share some examples around successful initiatives that you've seen where technology recycling has helped to alleviate digital poverty and provide those affordable devices, particularly to underserved and digitally deprived communities?
Yeah, so Get Line at Home is Computer Recyclers UK initiative, aims to help bridge the digital divide through professional reuse of IT. And since 2010 has been supporting a number of projects and groups, charities throughout the UK with lower cost refurbished equipment. Over that time, we built some great partnerships that really make a difference by providing access to those who otherwise wouldn't have it. And before I give examples, I think it's important to point out that whilst we're the service provider and supplier of refurbished devices, it's only made possible by the really amazing work that goes on out there to tackle digital poverty. And so we're just there supporting that work. So, in my opinion, a good example is a charity in London called Blind Aid, who support the blind and partially sighted. And for those who they identify as excluded or without correct access, they put a specification together with us that runs the accessibility features of Windows well, suitable for the blind and partially sighted. And so as and when they identify someone in need, the charity place an order with us. It's paid for by the charity. It's delivered directly to the person who needs it. Blind Aid organised for someone to visit that person and help set up the computer. So you haven't just reduced waste by us refurbishing a computer, but it's been tailored to meet the needs of someone who's blind and partially sighted, paid for by the charity, so removing the affordability barrier, and then has the additional support of someone actually visiting them in person to get them started. So, I think that's a really good one. And they've helped around 207 blind and partially sighted people with access to a device so far. So, it really is helping people. Another one, because we have got a few, but I'll just mention a few. Another one would be a partnership with a number of different bank foundations who support small to medium-sized charities across Wales, England, and Northern Ireland, who fund computers to charities who wouldn't otherwise be able to afford the devices they need to effectively run the charity. So by the foundations listening to the charity's needs, helping to remove their affordability barrier and provide them with devices suitable to run and deliver on numerous different charity services going on that make a difference to people's lives, is a good thing, and an example of how supporting the circular economy can make so much more of a difference than just reducing waste. Because you've got the charities out there helping people, but it's helped with the supply of refurbished devices, which helps the circular economy, and that's helped over 600 charities so far with over 3,000 devices. So that's another one really making a difference. And then otherwise, there's too many examples to give on this one, but in general, housing associations, they do loads of great work and play a big role in helping tackle digital poverty, in my experience, with their tenants. And so when we are supporting their projects, which identify the excluded, then part fund or loan devices to, along with a wraparound support of their own digital skills training and connectivity, I think they're another great example of how to tackle digital poverty with the help of refurbished technology that supports the circular economy.
Fantastic, thank you. I mean, sounds like you're working with a huge number of organisations there. And then in terms of those other benefits, so in addition to addressing digital poverty, which is clearly our main focus here at the DPA, I imagine there are other social and environmental benefits that can be achieved through these sustainable technology recycling practices. Do you want to illustrate some of those?
Yeah, I can. So carbon footprint is becoming a big focus. Yes, it's another big topic. We're actually in the process of putting together our own carbon impact report at the moment. So hopefully we'll have something to share on that for the end of the month, which will be good. But from the amount of resources used to carbon produced, buying new laptops does create quite a large footprint, especially when we see that the thousands of devices we're collecting every month. Is unbelievable really how much you see coming out. But it's obviously good for we're the ones processing it, and then that's all then being replaced by new. So whilst the carbon footprint produced can vary per brands, as they all have their own manufacturing methods, it's known that refurbishment of just one laptop can save an average 316 kilograms of carbon emissions, just by not buying a new one. It seems a lot, but 190,000 litres of water saved by not having to produce new components, and up to 1,200 kilograms of Earth's resources are saved by reusing instead of creating new raw material and preventing, and which also prevents waste by refurbishing as well. So there was a saying out there, and I think there's others, but in regard to carbon footprint, it said that for every refurbished computer purchase, it's the equivalent of taking 3 cars off the road. I imagine that's petrol and diesel cars, not the electric cars. But yeah, it gives an idea of how much of a sort of environmental benefit it can be, by supporting the circular economy and having devices put back into a new life.
Oh, that's incredible. I mean, I have to say 316 kilos of carbon emissions relating to one laptop, and we hear particularly local authorities saying that it's greener to recycle than it is to donate devices, and I think that starts to illustrate that maybe it's not greener to recycle, maybe it is greener to reuse. Another concern, though, that people do have around device donations is data security, and that's absolutely critical for users and organisations. So when it comes to disposing of outdated technology, how can organisations be absolutely sure that they have ensured that proper data destruction whilst they're promoting device reuse?
So the data security is the very core of what we do, and so data security and meeting GDPR compliance is a very important subject when disposing of redundant IT, and when people are considering donating it for good causes. You just need to make sure they're doing it in the right way. But fortunately, it has been made quite simple. There's a certified body called ADISA. I've actually made it straightforward, as in August last year, so August 2022, they became the first and only to achieve an ICO approved UK GDPR certification scheme status, which means that organisations using ADISA certified service providers for their redundant data bearing IT are compliant with data protection laws and regulations. And that's not because ADISA say so, it's not because we say so, but it's because the data regulators themselves have said so by verifying compliance through certification. After it was a very thorough, in-depth audit process, took literally over 12 months to go through the process, covering everything from customer engagement to data processing agreements, the logistics involved, physical securities of both where you're collecting it from and where and our facilities of where it's coming to. The data destruction methods used, asset reporting sent back to our clients. So we were very proud to achieve the ADISA certification in December. So it became a thing in August, and we were certified in December. Obviously, there was a lot of work going on in the background to get to that stage. But that reassures that our existing customers and any new customers coming on board that their legal compliance with GDPR and the data security side of it is met when disposing of the redundant IT, and then every opportunity of reuse is given. So you're supporting the circular economy and meeting social responsibilities by knowing that, you know, and if you're ADISA certified, it's sort of built into the certification process that there's a commitment to reuse as well. So it sort of gives you the confidence that that's happening. So really, in short, you know, for people to ensure proper data destruction, meet GDPR compliance, and how every device is given the best opportunity for reuse, then use an ADISA certified company when disposing.
Fantastic. And I can say a few people have been looking for a bit more information on ADISA in the chat. But if you are watching this on the recording, Ellie has just shared that the website for ADISA is adisa.global. So you can find a bit more information about what ADISA is there. And that sounds like some great advice, Marcus. So thank you. Are there any notable collaborations that computer recyclers have been involved in to advance the circular economy whilst reducing digital poverty?
Yeah, so that'd have to be the recent collaboration with yourselves, the Digital Poverty Alliance and Currys, creating the Get Online at Home broadband and discounted device deal. So that's bundled Currys broadband comparison service, the Digital Poverty Alliance efforts to end digital poverty, and then Computer Recyclers UK commitment to IT asset disposition and reuse to offer affordable connectivity and discounted devices. So the aim of that has been to sustainably support the great efforts going on to end digital poverty throughout the UK with an affordable connectivity and device solution. You know, and there's research out there that suggests that there are 11 million UK residents in digital poverty. So that collaboration sort of aims to and hopes to support as many as possible.
And we're really grateful to Computer Recyclers for what you're doing to support both our charity and more particularly getting devices out to people who are experiencing digital poverty due to those affordability issues, particularly around tech. How can individuals and businesses then best contribute to the circular economy, Marcus? What can they do to support efforts to alleviate digital poverty that way? Are there specific actions or initiatives that you might recommend?
With individuals, I think one of the best things, you know, to contribute to the circular economy would be opting for refurbish rather than buying new, just because of the information given previously. You know, so not only does that support the circular economy, but does help people's pockets as well. So from a, you know, on an individual basis, I think that is a good one. You know, whether it's someone's a new user, when tackling digital poverty, that's often the case. But you know, you can also be a heavy usage user, and the budget doesn't allow you to go out and buy new for what you need. So refurbished does, you know, you can essentially build it to what you want, and what you end up with, if you're comparing prices, then, you know, it's almost better than what you would get new come the end. Businesses, I would say they can also look to support the circular economy. Everybody can through buying refurbished, but I think the best thing for businesses to do is to look at their asset disposal and information security policies. You know, make sure they're current and compliant, using suitable certified companies. By doing that, they can make sure they meet their own legal compliance, but it will also be support the circular economy by knowing every device is given its best chance of reuse, which helps them meet their social responsibilities as a business as well. So yeah, I would point businesses towards ADISA, seeing how they should be doing things properly, and then having conversations with those service providers like us about, you know, what we do with reuse and how are we turning that into a good thing. Yeah, so that would sort of be my opinion there.
Fantastic. And I think ESG is very much on everyone's minds at the moment. So environment, social and governance issues, and this definitely seems like the circular economy is a great fit for both the environmental and the social responsibilities that companies have.
Yeah, and it seems no, go on. Yeah.
No, sorry.
No, it just seems that the government, I think it seems government are asking for more reporting from our customers at the moment as well. So, you know, they want to know, yeah, they want to try and figure out carbon footprint. They want to know what the levels of waste are maybe, and so then they're looking to us then, trying to capture in our reports with the collections that we're making, which we can then feed back. So it's helping them report back to government on what they're doing and how they're acting responsibly as well.
And without doubt, that will be of huge value to companies, the sort of support to be able to do that. And that possibly actually leads us into what do you feel are the future trends in the field of technology recycling and reuse? How do you think those trends might also then further impact on solving digital poverty and sustainability issues?
Yeah, I think that with the credible, independent and ICO approved data protection standard ADISA, which I've mentioned a few times now, I believe the ITAD industry, which is the IT asset disposition industry, will go from strength to strength. I think it's going to increase the level of respect for our industry, in line with the increasing awareness of sort of legal liabilities risked when services are not carried out correctly. So it's not just sort of like a waste stream anymore. It's more making sure data is handled properly. Is it reused? And it's all about reducing waste rather than creating waste. And then with the general move to more home working and the continued refresh of technology in both private and public sectors, there'll always be a level of redundant IT. And so when combining that level of redundant IT with the really great efforts going on to raise awareness of digital poverty and how to tackle it, then the recycling and reuse computers should have more of a positive impact on digital poverty in the future.
Fantastic. It really looks like something that can only grow and only provide more solutions for people. And we also, sort of just to finish my questions, we know that Computer Recyclers as a business has made a pledge not just to support the DPA mission, but also to help fund our work. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. So we've been committed to help tackle digital inclusion, digital poverty, since we began in 2010, supporting and sort of getting involved with as many digital inclusion efforts as possible. So we were a founding partner of Digital Access for All, which seemed to then develop into becoming Digital Poverty Alliance. And so we've remained committed to help tackle digital inclusion and can really see change happening by the Digital Poverty Alliance, bringing everyone together and getting everyone singing off the same hymn sheet as such. With a national delivery plan, and there's a clear glide of sort of what's needed. So yeah, we're proud to support your mission and help contribute in a sustainable way, so your work can continue and achieve your goal to end digital poverty, which would just be brilliant. And to explain how we're doing that, really, the funds we donate are raised through the broadband and discount device bundle we recently launched, which results in a £40 per sale being donated to you. And so the idea being that end users receive affordable connected devices. We promote the benefits of circular economy through the reuse of computers, and the Digital Poverty Alliance continue their work, invest in nationwide digital inclusion schemes to provide laptops and to underprivileged families, schools, and teachers, and all the other great work that you're doing or will be doing.
And we're very grateful, Marcus. We can only achieve an end to digital poverty by as many organisations and parts of society as possible working together and collaborating to find solutions. And as a charity, we can only have the impact that we can deliver to families to get them online through donations. So we're incredibly grateful to Computer Recyclers for that commitment. I know we've got quite a few questions starting to come in, which is great. We'll try and get through as many as possible. I've seen a few questions coming up on the chat. If you can pop them into the Q&A, that would be great, because it saves me having to scroll around different places. So that would be massively helpful. So we've got a question from Tara, who's in Devon, on you. At the beginning of the webinar, you were talking about how some devices end up being shredded. What happens to those bits? Are they recycled? Can they be reused in any way?
Yeah, so the shredded material would be passed on to our waste management partners, we call them. So there'll be facilities with the licenses and permits to recycle that material further, preventing it from going to landfill. Obviously, the aim is always to avoid landfill, and so then you'll have authorized treatment facilities that we use then that will, it could be shredded metal, for example. A shredded hard drive, you'll have a ton bag of shredded metal come the end of a day shredding session, and then that metal can be, it can be burned down and reused into what you want. It could be reused metal. With the smartphones, say that's the sort of unfortunate one, but you essentially end up with shredded smartphone material, which is a blend that does all get separated. So the people we pass it on to, they would then be separating those materials and making sure they're going in the right directions. Again, just avoiding landfill. So yeah, hopefully that can answer that one slightly.
Fantastic, thank you. And then George Cook has a more technical question around how the devices are then used. So do you do a total rebuild with extreme dust cleaning and renewing? We're going beyond my technical knowledge here, but renewing the thermal paste on processors. Are there any upgrades to solid state hard drives, extra RAM?
Yeah, so we'll do thorough clean, thorough test. We're not remanufacturing them, which some refurbishment companies are throwing out there, but we're professionally refurbishing them. So many devices will come through and they there's not much needs done to them. They'll have a secure wipe, they'll have a thorough test, they'll be cleaned up and be put back out. Others may be low on RAM, they may have a sort of the older type hard drives, you might want, and a user wants to put the SSD newer type hard drive in there, they may want more storage, and those sort of components can be swapped and changed to suit customers' needs. And as a Microsoft refurbisher, we'll put out devices suitable for Windows 10 and also devices eligible for the Windows 11 upgrade as well. So that's the aim. So we've got like a minimum spec of i3 processor, 8 GB of RAM, 250 gig hard drive, which runs Windows 10 well. And then for anything you want with Windows 11, it needs to be 8th generation minimum. So it's just a case of allocating stock correctly to based on people who need and want it.
Fantastic. And we've got the sort of the flip side of that question from Alison around whether there are additional cybersecurity features being provided with the recycled devices, perhaps around antivirus, password managers. Is that something that you support with, or is that something that sits outside your remit?
Yeah, well, everything we supply through like a digital inclusion project qualifies through the Microsoft Citizenship License Scheme. So that's how we're able to put on Windows 10 Professional, which comes with the Windows Defender antivirus built in. So that's an antivirus already included. You do get some customers wanting to put on their own. We don't get involved in that, but we just advise that the Windows Defender is deactivated because running 2 different antiviruses can, it can affect the performance of the computer. But the answer is yes. Everything we send out to an end user with software installed has the antivirus ready to go.
Fantastic. So Selena says that they run a local service and charity that recycles devices called Input, but they're overwhelmed with desktop computers, but they do really want their devices to be reused, particularly where there's accessories like keyboards and quite old monitors, but they're struggling to find somewhere local that would reuse them, so they'll be collected for recycling. Is there anything else that they could be doing, even though it's not a vast number of items?
Again, just strictly speaking, you need to be careful of the data on the PCs that you haven't got a route for. So if you're choosing a recycler, then just try and make sure that they meet the sort of the data security standards. And they're going to get them wiped. They can provide you a certificate. They're going to send you a report. At least, really, you should have a data processing agreement in place with them before it all happens. And the logistics should be tracked, so sort of where your equipment is from the point of collection back to them. So that would be that'd be one bit of advice. Just, if you're choosing a recycler with data bearing kit, then just be sure. And I would point you towards an ADISA certified company if you can. I think that's just the best advice really. If it's low volume, it may lead to a service provider charging you to come out and provide that service. But if the equipment can be reused, generally you can try and find a way around that.
And Selena has actually both asked me to clarify. It's not her. It's a local service that they work with. So apologies for that. Yeah. She's also flagged there's no ADISA certified providers that she can see in Scotland. But actually, Marcus, I don't know that they'd need to be in Scotland necessarily, as long as they're willing to cover that area.
Yeah, no, there's the ADISA certified companies, they will cover Scotland. We cover Wales and the rest of the UK. No doubt there will be someone closer to Scotland, maybe not in Scotland, but closer to Scotland, that does cover collections in Scotland as well. So I'm sure, if hopefully there's a route through the ADISA website to maybe find out who that is. Just try and drop an email and they can put you in touch, because part of being ADISA certified is you do sort of say which areas you can cover. Like we would cover Scotland, but it would all have to be it'd all have to make sense for everyone involved really. We go to Scotland regular for on-site data destruction services, and we'll be up there weeks at a time processing equipment. But if it's just for a few items, you may be better off choosing a more local provider. But there will be an ADISA service provider that can do it.
Fantastic, and I think that's important to just understand what you're expecting to find, especially if you're trying to use a service that you've maybe not come across before. Yeah. You also, Siobhan says that you mentioned the Microsoft scheme, including antivirus, and I think that's the citizenship piece. She's asked if you could sort of expand on that a little bit and what that means.
So that's for Microsoft refurbishers. So as it totally makes sense for us to be a Microsoft refurbisher, because obviously the kit that's coming through and what we're reusing and who we're aiming to send it out to. So when you're a Microsoft refurbisher, they've got a citizenship program which has like an eligibility criteria to it. So basically, if you're a digital inclusion project, if you're a registered charity, if you're in a community that is without access to devices or connectivity, if you're receiving some sort of state benefit, it's quite varied, and it really aims to avoid businesses benefiting from the software that we can put on there at significantly lower cost. So that's generally the main aim, and so that is what allows us to put on the Windows 10 Professional, Windows Defender antivirus for customers, because the Get An Eye at Home scheme which we run, and that's sort of our channel for the refurbished equipment, and obviously with the broadband deal with Currys as well, that's very much focused to supporting local councils, supporting charities, supporting the people who need computers, which qualifies them for the citizenship program. And back in 2010, when Get An Eye at Home started, so Computer Recycling started in 2010, but so did Get An Eye at Home. But Get An Eye at Home was actually created by Microsoft, so it was their initiative, and just over time, it's sort of just ended up with us, and we've continued it. But yeah, hopefully that explains a little bit.
Fantastic. Swain, and I really hope I've said your name correctly, so apologies if not, has picked up on my comment that some local authorities claim it's greener to recycle than to refurbish electronic equipment, and asks a little bit more about that. And in honesty, that's responses that we had last year when we went out to every local authority in the country to ask them how they were using their devices and how they were supporting digital inclusion in their areas. So I think it's exactly things like this that we can do to get the information out there that actually it is safe to refurbish. There's ways to keep the data and security absolutely at the highest grade possible. and to share that messaging about how much greener it is to reuse a machine than it is to ever be creating new laptops. And of course, we're never going to see the creation of new laptops stopped. Technology moves incredibly quickly. But the value to a family of a machine that, you know, a business or a local authority or any other type of organization may feel has passed its useful lifespan for them, actually to a family, that's immensely empowering to be able to use that kind of machine. And if there's any local authorities on this call who are interested in that and how to be even greener by reusing devices, please do get in touch, because we'd love to help you do that. We'd love to help you get them to people who actually can really benefit. We've had a couple of questions coming in around the quality control of devices. So Gary has said, for example, there's risks to be aware in refurbishing and upgrading devices, particularly looking at electromagnetic compatibility testing and CE mark. And then Paul has said, are there any criteria for quality control of devices and machines? Some of his experiences with refurbishers hasn't been very positive, even though he prefers to use refurbed, recycled. What would your comments be on that, Marcus?
Yeah, so it's a fair point, and it's a shame, but it's a bit like car dealerships. You know, you can buy a second-hand car and you could buy it from the worst garage ever, or you could buy a really good second-hand car, which you use for the rest of your life. So it's very much choosing the correct supplier of refurbished equipment, because no doubt there are people out there just winging it. But if you go through a professional service, you know, sometimes things may seem too good to be true, and often that may well be the case. But you'll certainly always get a lower cost with refurbished. And again, with the backing of certifications and quality accreditations, you know, that should really give customers the confidence as well. You know, from our own, speaking about ourselves, you can go off our experience. You know, 2002 we started. We got technicians with us who were there then. Obviously, I've been here since 2010. I would not have been there in 2002, but we got technicians still with us from then. You know, that's what, 17, more than that, isn't it? Yeah, it's 21 years of experience doing IT refurbishment. So we've got a very skilled team, and with our standards, we're sort of not allowed to slack on that. And that's why we then provide, we provide a strong warranty. We provide telephone support. People can give us a call. They can speak to technicians over the phone. You know, if there are any issues, it can generally be solved over the phone. If it's just sort of user issues, otherwise we collect, we repair or replace, and we generally get a very good level of satisfaction. We get very little actually coming back to us because of the level of testing that has gone through to go out. You know, we aim for only grade A devices to go out. And again, people will probably say, some people will say grade A is this, and some people will say grade A is that. But you know, if you go on our website, it's explained what grade A is, so you know what to expect. You know, you can expect minor marks. You can't avoid a used computer not having slight blemishes. You know, but on the lid, you know, we wouldn't send you something with blemishes on the actual screen. But in general, it's in really good working condition. It's in good physical condition, and it's gone through a full testing process. You know, all ports are working, screens are working, keyboards working, battery's got a good health to it. Yeah, and we back up with our warranty to give you that confidence. And where we get the kit from is it's all ex-corporate equipment. So again, when you're buying refurbished, you know, if you're buying an ex-corporate brand, so, you know, generally Lenovo, HP, Dell, kit which is designed to last a lot longer than what it's actually been used for by his first user, which obviously allows us to have a good reuse rate as well then.
Fantastic. And we've got a few questions coming in actually very specifically about Computer Recyclers UK. So one is, what quality certifications do you have? And then we've also got a few questions about the pricing structure on your webpage and your eBay store. So you probably want to take the quality certifications one here, and then I suggest that we ask Simon to get in touch with you, direct Marcus to talk about the pricing piece.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, quality certifications, we've got it's 9001, 14,001 and 27,001. So they'll cover our our quality, our health and safety, our information security, and then we have the ADISA certification, which is the data security GDPR compliance, and when collecting and processing data bearing assets. So they are the strong certifications that back us up.
And I'm sure that it's a leading question, but I'm sure that you're happy to share your email address towards the end if anyone wants to get in touch with you about the product. Fantastic.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. It'd be a good year from everyone, and I'll definitely respond as quickly as I can.
Fantastic. Paul has also come back to say, is there a gold standard certification besides Microsoft that would be useful to look for with local repair and refurbishers? So would that be ADISA, or are there any others that you can look for in terms of a badge?
I think in terms of a badge, like IT repair shops may go for certain different Microsoft badges. I'm honestly not I'm not in the know for that. I could probably try and find out, and then that could be information sent afterwards. But for us, we're a Microsoft refurbisher, which allows us access to licensing and make sure we refurbish it to a Microsoft standard. Yeah, repair shops may go down a different route, which isn't about sort of the license side of it. It's more about the sort of skills put into the repairs. Yeah, I'm blagging a bit on that one. I would have to look into it.
Now, possibly in a similar vein, but Samantha's asked how do you deal with, or maybe you know how others deal with donated Apple devices that haven't been signed out of. And I know this is something that actually crops up quite a bit, is challenges around Apple and indeed Google devices as well.
Yeah, so with Apple devices, again, it is something that we process, and for them to reuse, they got to be removed from the mobile device management system first of all. So if they're from an organization, they've got their own device management system, they need to be removed from that. And then in addition to that, they may have their own user account or cloud account, and so the user needs to remove their account from that as well. And if they do, then that device can be wiped using certified software, which we have access to, and all ADISA certified companies would definitely have access to, and then that device can be reused as long as it's in a reusable condition. Otherwise, it can be wiped, and there are people out there who may want to use it for spares and repairs.
So I know that this has happened indeed with devices that we have had. If the user doesn't sign out, if the user hasn't appreciated that that's something to do, or maybe doesn't even have the digital skills to be able to do that, do the security features render that device basically impossible to reuse, or can you still do anything with it, or can others still do anything with it?
No, it's really a frustrating one. I think when the laws come in about the ease of reuse for new manufacturers when they're making this new kit, and how they make them in a way that is easier to reuse, and I think probably Apple are at the front of that with all their smartphones and how difficult it is to swap and change anything with them. But yeah, from our experience, that's exactly how it is. Unless if it's not removed from MDM on a user account, you can still data wipe it. But once it's data wiped, obviously it's safe of data, but you can't actually go and use it because it's still locked to someone's account, and you can't you just can't. So people can use them for spares and repairs. There are companies who specialize in stripping down phones and maybe able to use the camera from it or use the screen from it, but no, as a device as a whole, just for a simple reuse donation, it needs to be removed from all accounts.
Those new laws sound incredibly important in terms of ensuring that can actually be made possible. Are there any other policies or regulations that you feel maybe need to be implemented to encourage widespread adoption of sustainable technology, reuse and recycling in the UK?
Say that again, sorry.
So, I mean, do you feel there's more that maybe the government could be doing? Maybe you don't, but maybe there's opportunities for government in terms of new policies and regulations to encourage people to be able to reuse and recycle devices?
I guess the only thing that comes to mind is apparently it has become a rule within procurement that a certain percentage of their buy-in should be refurbished. Yeah, that's something we came across in a conference recently, which was mentioned, and I thought was quite interesting. It's certainly something quite new, but it shows that they are going in the right direction and giving refurbishment it's time. I don't think that's IT only, because obviously you could have refurbished anything. But yeah, I believe a certain percentage. I don't know how much, but again, it's something which could probably look into and come back to people on.
It looks like things are starting to move in the right direction, which is
definitely. It seems to all happen quite quickly recently as well. As the focus on carbon footprint and companies having to report on that, and the level of sort of waste reporting, it seems to be it does seem to have stepped up, which is good.
And on that topic, another guest has asked what your carbon impact report might outline when you release it later this month, if you're able to say at this point.
Yeah, I could probably tell you what information we've had to put in, and then we're sort of waiting on them to come back with the report. But it just takes in to consideration the electricity used to provide our service, the fuel types used with our vehicles and logistics, water consumption, staff commuting to and from work. So it's very much as an organisation what our carbon footprint is to provide the service. So what I asked when we was doing sort of pulling this information all together, and what they admitted would be good but they just haven't got yet, is taking into consideration the carbon footprint we are saving through the service, by not allowing computers to go through as waste, and putting them back out into the community and saving the carbon, which we've mentioned earlier on this webinar. But so they've admitted that would be good, but it's just not something they've got built into the reporting system yet. So it'd be very much based on the carbon footprint of computer recyclers delivering the service to show that we're the aim is to be carbon zero. So based on what the carbon footprint comes out at, we'll then contribute to, there's a number of schemes where you can contribute to, you can plant trees, for example, or you can put money towards certain projects that reduces your carbon footprint. But for us, we're quite confident it's going to be very low as it is.
Fantastic. And a lighter note for our final question, which I've been saving for the end, again from Selena. Do you make any videos of the shredding process? Because she suggests that this would be very satisfying to watch.
We haven't, we haven't made any ourselves, but we use an Ulster shredder, which is they meet all the standards for security standards. So Ulster, if you look up Ulster shredders, and they've sort of stepped up in their marketing as well, and no doubt there'll be videos and you can see people putting hard drives through shredders and how it comes out the other side like dust.
Sounds like a whole fundraising idea in itself to have a day experiencing just running things through the shredder. There we go.
Yeah. Well, apparently they build shredders for everything. So obviously we do shredders for computers, and they build shredders for anything and everything. So if you look into it, it probably does get quite interesting.
What a thought. Thank you, Marcus, for all of your responses there, and also thank you to everyone who's watching this live. That's been a really lively session. We really do love hearing your thoughts and diving into your questions, so thanks a lot. Again, if you're not familiar with the DPA, please do think about how you can get involved in supporting us now. This could be joining our community hub. It's always fantastic to see in the chat people making new connections and finding out new things that other people are doing around the UK. Ellie has put the link in the chat there where you can sign up to be part of that community. You can also jump on our website, digitalpovertyalliance.org, and you'll be able to find our national delivery plan. This is the first year that we've published the national delivery plan, which brings together our evidence review that we released last year, together with the results of consultations and expert groups across charities, local authority, government, corporates, all coming together to think about how we can end digital poverty once and for all by 2030. Please do take a look at that. There's an overview on there as well, where you can see a bit more about some of our missions: raising awareness, tackling affordability, online safety and accessibility, digital skills, research and local capacity. Also, think whether you can make a pledge. Can you make a pledge to take forward any of the actions or anything that can help to support the delivery of those actions through your organisation? Even if that is talking about sessions like this, talking about digital poverty, please do think about that. We also have End Digital Poverty Day coming up on the 12th of September, which I'm very excited for. It's our inaugural End Digital Poverty Day, which is all about raising awareness of what is digital poverty. What do those two words actually mean? And most importantly, what do they mean to real people who are living with digital poverty right now? What is the impact on children, households, people of all ages, all across the UK, the reality that they face by not being able to connect and access online services? So do take a look at that, see how you can get involved. Again, that could be anything from a tweet to holding a webinar, through to undertaking fundraising activities for us. And do also think about making a donation to the Digital Poverty Alliance, which again, you can do on your website or on our website even. Or if you are interested in sponsoring our events or getting involved in our industry forum, we would love to hear from you about that as well. Thanks again, everyone, for coming along. Thank you so much to Marcus for your time and your commitment to the digital inclusion cause. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Take care.